Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So I got a request to kind of talk about channeling. What is channeling? How do we do it? Can everybody do it? We're gonna dive into all that right now. So the thing that you should know about channeling, right, is that it is a form of telepathy. And the other thing you need to know about channeling is that every single human being on the planet has the capability to channel, right? There's a lot of factors that are involved with not being able to channel or being able to channel. Odds are that we're all channeling throughout our entire day, and we don't really realize it, right? I know that once I kind of learned to discern what was information coming through and what was my own thoughts, I was definitely like, oh God, I've been doing this forever, So we'll dive into it right now. So, what is channeling? Channeling is a form of telepathy because we have a unity consciousness, which means that we are individuals, of course. We have individual souls, but we are all kind of tapped in to the same energy. We're all tapped into the same information. Think about it like you're a computer, right? And in order to be able to access Google, you have to have the internet, right? So if your Wi-Fi is running a little slower, you may get bits and pieces that will load, but you're not going to just get all the information, right? And it's going to get frustrating. It's kind of, you're not going to get all the information. You may not know what to do with it, right? And so I'm going to kind of help you guys, give you guys some exercises to do to kind of help you be a more clear channel for that information that we all have access to, right? Another thing I want to mention is that this stuff is just stuff that I know to be my truth. But if it does not resonate with you, then that is fine too. If it does resonate, great. Just use your own discernment. Is this information for me? Is this information not for me? Right? So, good to go on that. So, let's talk about the different kind of forms of telepathy that's out there, right? So, there's all the clairs, right? There's clairaudience. You can be clairvoyant. You can be claircognizant. And what these all mean, basically, being clairvoyant just means that you are very visual, right? Your third eye is just very much open, right? And if you don't know about your third eye, it is your energy center in the middle of your forehead that helps you interpret information, right? All of our chakras interpret and transmute and transmit information. But your third eye in particular is one of the energy centers that helps with your visualization, that helps with kind of connecting and seeing what is beyond our physical eyes, right? You can kind of see into the ethers. So, for example, right now, I want you to close your eyes, or not, but I want you to specifically picture a red apple in your mind. Go ahead, I'll wait. So if you are picturing a red apple in your head, you are using your third eye right now, right? And so the thing about the third eye is that it's connected to our pineal gland. It's the same thing. This is the organ that it has dominance over. And so if your pineal gland is calcified, and I'll make a whole nother video about this because I could go on forever about your pineal gland, your third eye, right? But I'll just lightly touch on it. So learning to decalcify our pineal gland actually helps our third eye visuals. It helps us tap in more. It helps us connect. There's loads of stuff in our environment like fluoride, and just kind of toxins that calcify and have kind of like a hard encasing over our pineal gland. It's kind of like, yeah, encasing it, and it's yucky and nasty. And our pineal glands are actually supposed to be the size of a baseball, but a lot of society right now, our pineal glands are the size of like a little baby walnut, right? Um, and that's only because we haven't really learned that it's important. We haven't really learned how to stimulate it. We haven't really learned how to be good to it, right? And so ever since I've kind of dove in on this journey to decalcify my pineal gland years ago, I have had crazy results with my visualization. I've had crazy results with being able to channel information via visuals, right? So when they dissect the pineal gland, the pineal gland actually has the same exact receptors that we have in our eyeballs, right? So that's interesting, like scientists are kind of like, what is that used for? Like, what do you mean? Why does it have the same receptors that we have in our eyes when it's buried in our head and it's not on the outside, kind of taking in everything from the outside world? That's interesting, right? But it's just because we're able to interpret information, and it's taking all the information not from this outside world, but from kind of higher dimensional, other dimensions, right? The easiest way to say it. The dimensions, contrary to what people think, are not, they're not linear. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna jump into another dimension. No, like right now, we can see the third dimension, but we're also simultaneously seeing the first and the second dimension. And as we raise our vibration and as we raise our frequency, we're able to interpret more from higher dimensional frequencies, because we're working our way up. That's another capability of being a human, is that we're able to raise our vibration and eventually kind of transcend this 3D stuff, right? All the low vibrational stuff. The more you raise your vibration, the more you're kind of purging out old negative frequencies that are no longer serving you, and you're not as weighed down, you're not as dense, right? And the more you lighten yourself by raising your vibration, the more you can interpret higher dimensional frequencies. And that's essentially what we're doing when you're channeling, right? So I'll give you an example of when I first started channeling, and I was super excited about this, right? Because information pops into your head all the time, like I was saying, but we don't really know what to do with it. So I was taking a meditation bath some years ago, when I was first learning to kind of channel, and I heard the word in my head. It just kind of popped up. Like I easily could have misinterpreted that I just thought that word randomly. And the word was indigenous. So the word indigenous popped into my head, but my first clue that this was not my own thought, that this wasn't just something bouncing around in my head, was the fact that at that time I had no idea what indigenous meant. Make fun of me all you want, but I did not know what that meant, like at all. And so I went to go look it up, and as I'm looking it up, I'm kind of hearing in my head just like music playing, and it's kind of like tribal, and it's like, I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, but it was very kind of like Native American-y, drummy music playing in my head, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. I haven't heard that. I'm paying close attention to my thoughts at this point because I'm trying to interpret, kind of trying to separate out what is my ego thoughts and what is coming from that bigger connection, right? And so when I looked up the word indigenous, of course, it had kind of a Native American-y description, and it had that music on there. It didn't have the music on there, but the music correlated to the word. So indigenous popped up. I had to look it up, didn't know what it meant. And all of a sudden, that definition that I read was in direct correlation with the music I was hearing. This is channeling. This is how it starts, guys. Like little things here and there. Another thing that I learned about channeling is that there's different forms. So I'm very clairvoyant, which means I use my third eye, and I could get pictures about what comes through. I could get pictures that have a meaning tied to them, and I will just get that inner feeling about what it means. Like, okay, I'm getting a picture of an apple, but I know for a fact, I feel it in my gut 10,000% that, you know, the universe or God or my higher self, my guides, whoever, they're trying to guide me in the direction of eating more fruit in my diet. And that's going to help with whatever I'm going through right now, right? You know, but that's not what it has to mean. And this is where people get, you know, bad readings, or, you know, say that you have somebody who's a psychic, right? And you go and pay for a reading and she's really off. You're like, God, none of that resonated with me. You know, that sucks. Psychics are not real. That's what happens to a lot of different people. But you have to remember that channeling is just being a clear channel for information that is divine from source to pour through you. You yourself, this is where it gets messy, because us ourself, like, we're a filter. So if I'm giving you a reading, right, I need to learn how to leave out all of my beliefs and all of my kind of filtery thoughts or judgments or whatever. I have to kind of step back and just let my mouth run, and whatever comes out of my mouth is supposed to be for this person. I cannot be like, you know, I know that I'm getting a horse in my head, but I don't feel like that makes sense. I don't feel like that has something to do with what we're talking about, right? That's how people get bad readings, because we are filters. And so sometimes you will get somebody who doesn't necessarily know how to just let that information pour out as is. They're gonna think about it too much. They're gonna let their ego interject. I don't think that's what this means. Oh God, I shouldn't say this. Oh God, blah, 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 right? So there's other forms of channeling. There's clairaudient, right? You can be clairaudient and not be clairvoyant at all, which means you hear voices in your head. This sounds a little bit like schizophrenia, but I assure you that people that are schizophrenic we don't really know a whole lot on a realistic level about what's going on with schizophrenia in the medical kind of industry. People that are more spiritual, or people that are a little more tapped into what's really going on this planet and what's good and what's bad for us and blah, 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 we kind of know that schizophrenia is a little more like somebody having information pour through, not just from source, but from kind of like other beings and entities. Like, you know, the possibilities are endless, but they're not grounded enough in their root chakra. They're not grounded enough in their body to actually be able to interpret the information. It's just coming through and they don't know what to do with it. And it could be scary. You know, you're hearing literal voices. And although I'm not clairaudient, on occasion, I have had clairaudient experiences. You know, the majority of them have happened when I was laying down going to sleep, and I'm, you know, halfway between awake and being asleep. And in that state, it kind of opens you up for a little more just kind of, you know, relaxation and everything. But I actually heard my name said. They didn't say anything else, but it was Skylar, and it was super loud. I was like, somebody there? Like, but nobody was there. And literally, I'm grounded enough to be able to interpret what that was. And definitely it was one of my loved ones trying to get my attention, right? But that doesn't happen all the time. But if I practice more and if I kind of open up my little chakras in my ears, I could definitely just be hearing whole conversations, right? Some people really do have it to where spirit comes and, they're like, hey, buddy, I think you should be doing this today. Like, or what do you think? Hey, do you want to do this? Or maybe this would help you out. Some people have real conversations because they can hear higher dimensional frequencies, right? It's just all about frequencies. Every single thing is a vibration. Every single thing is a frequency. So the more you raise your vibration, the more compatible you're going to be to receive these higher dimensional sounds, frequencies, etc., right? Another claircognizant is just the inner knowing. We interpret this through our solar plexus chakra. And this is our kind of interpretation center. Well, they're all interpretation centers. This is kind of the center where we know ourselves, right? This is kind of the center that is our personality. Like I know who I am. If we have an unbalanced, solar plexus, we're gonna be a little unsure of ourselves, right? We're gonna be like, who am I? Like, God, I don't even know what my purpose is. I don't know what's going on. So when you're strong in that solar plexus area, you're gonna have more strength of knowing who you are, what my purpose is, all of that, right? So that's the center that ultimately helps us kind of with that claircognizant, that clair knowing, that trusting ourselves and our own instincts. So, for example, if I had an unbalanced solar plexus, I would have got that indigenous word, and I would have got the little music that went along with it, and I would have been like, oh, I don't think I'm channeling. I don't think that's what this is. I'm not very confident in myself. Like, I don't really know, like, if this is or it's not. But once you learn the difference between that feeling and other feelings, you're like, no, I know. Like, everybody has things, intuition, whether it be about someone or a situation or whatever, and they're just like, I know the facts add up in this way, but I just know in my gut, like, something is off, something is wrong, I know it, right? And then something ends up being off, and you're like, I knew it, right? That is your solar plexus helping you interpret things. So there's things that we can do to kind of help these abilities, right? There's clairgustance, or God, it starts with a G, right? I'm not super well versed on the technical terms of all this, right? So clairgustance, I believe, the G one, right? That's the smelling one. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had experiences where you're just going around the house or whatever, and you get a smell from, like, your childhood, or you get a smell that was just like of one of your relatives that has passed away, right? I smell my grandma all the time, and I'm like, oh, it's comforting because I know she's around me, right? And this is just because from whatever dimensional plane she is on, she is able to throw that vibration my way. And since I'm at a place where I'm interpreting higher dimensional frequencies through my body, I automatically can smell that higher dimensional frequency that she's putting off, right? And so it's pretty cool, you guys. There's certain things you can do. If you have a deck of cards, this is one thing. This is one exercise you can do to help strengthen your third eye. And it's basically the memory game, right? Except for you're not using your memory. You lay all the cards out, just put them all next to each other, lay them all out, and try to guess where the other numbers are, right? You can do it like that, kind of like the memory game, Or you can just grab your deck like this and kind of just, you know, flip them over so you can't see them, and then kind of just feel them and see what you feel is about to pop up, right? So I'll have my deck and I'll be like, you know what, I really have a feeling that this is a black card, and maybe like a 5, like 5 of spades. Yes, I get that feeling. Boom. Guess what? The first couple times you do it, you're gonna be like, oh shit, I'm wrong, right? But don't give up on this. Just because you do it a couple times and you didn't guess right, well, guess what? Really use your feelings, right? Because when I first started doing that exercise, I was pretty discouraged. I was like, oh God, I'm not getting any of these right. But once a day, every single day, I took my deck out and tried to guess every single card in the deck. It took about 15 or 20 minutes every day, not a super long thing, right? And I set the intention that, you know, rant for a second. Intention is so powerful. Set your intention that you want to open your third eye. Set your intention that you want to raise your vibration and kind of unlock these little abilities that we have, you know, and ask your guides for help. Ask the universe for help. You know, if you don't know if you believe in God or if you believe in the New Age stuff or Buddha, whatever it may be, ask whatever spiritual guides, whatever spiritual leaders, whatever spiritual, you know, person that you believe in, ask them for help. Because, you know, we all have free will. And there's a lot of beings out there in the universe, higher dimensional and, you know, all kinds of stuff. But they don't want to fuck up our free will. Like, what if we don't want help, right? So if we don't ask for help with things, they're still helping us, but they're going to get that permission to just go all out in each and every way, right? So I don't really know if this little discussion is helpful or not, but it is kind of like a rant. But it's all about channeling, you guys. And so if you have more questions about channeling, you know, I could literally go on and on and on for a long time, right? Trying to like explain a little more. And I'll probably make a part 2 to this video just because I feel like there's a lot more that I have to say, but I feel like it's getting kind of long right now. And so, yeah, we'll hop back on. We'll talk about channeling soon. If you guys have any questions about the things that I've already went over, definitely leave those questions down in the comments section. If you have any, just comments or, you know, any feedback, definitely leave that down there. Let me know. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that little subscribe button. If you haven't already hit the little notification bell button, do that so you see when I have future videos so you can join in on our topics. I love talking about this stuff, you guys. I've been studying for many years now about raising our vibration, about our chakras, you know, about all this kind of holistic woo-woo stuff, channeling and everything, right? And I've been practicing being a clear channel for quite some time as well. And so, I love to hear feedback. I love to hear if you guys have any experiences with any kind of like things you might think to be channeling, right? And I can kind of help guide you. I don't claim to know everything, but if there's certain topics that I've been researching for, you know, some years now, and people are just now starting to learn and just now starting to dive into this stuff, I would love to be of assistance because I took many, many hours reading books and watching YouTube and, you know, really trying to dig up all this stuff for myself. And so if I can cut you guys, spare you guys a little bit of time doing that, let's do that, you guys, okay? So leave your comments, questions. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next time.